Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 544, 544, Monday, September the 10th, 2018. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a lot to get to today. It started raining here on like Saturday morning around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. It still really hasn't stopped. It's never really rained hard. It just has never stopped. It's just like a light rain the whole time. I guess from that tropical storm that we had down in the Gulf. But I think it's supposed to clear up tomorrow sometime. But yeah, rained all weekend here. But I imagine that's true for a lot of you if you're in the path of that big pattern that was circling around our area for the last 2 days. Anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so Sidney Powell, who I like very much. Sidney Powell, former prosecutor. She was on Lou Dobbs. And she, of course, in the context of the conversation with Lou Dobbs, brought up the private contractors accessing the NSA database. Now, unfortunately, Lou Dobbs, it went right in one ear and right out the other. It didn't quite grab his attention, and he just kind of moved on with another question and really didn't address it at all. So I think a lot of times, I don't think people quite understand I don't think he understood what she meant by that. Maybe Hannity, other people are not quite understanding exactly what we're talking about here with private contractors accessing the NSA database. They don't know how important it is to the origins of the start of this, because it went right by Dobbs. And I've seen Joe DeGeneva bring it up before. I've seen Sidney Powell bring it up before with other people on Fox, and they just don't they've been told not to talk about it, or they don't want to talk about it, or they don't quite understand exactly how important it is. But I'm glad that they keep putting it out there. And Sidney Powell, of course, has released her own book on Spygate. And that book is out there. I don't know how much promotion it's getting, but I would like to get a copy myself and read it. She's very good. So anyway, Sidney Powell got a new book out there if you want to check it out. And it's her book on the Spygate thing. And she is, of course, including the private contractors accessing the NSA database in her book. Might want to give it a read. Here's a question for you. We talked yesterday about the Papadopoulos interview with Jake Crapper on, I guess he's on CNN, I guess. And so again, he's reiterating this point where he says that that when he brought up having meetings. Or having a meeting or a photo op or something with Putin during the 2016 campaign, that he said, and he's standing by this, I think he's been asked about it, and he's standing by his position that when he brought it up, Sessions, he says to his best recollection, Sessions seemed fairly supportive of the idea. There was a couple other people who were not, but they weren't Sessions. He says Sessions was fairly supportive of the idea. Now, we just assumed that, and I just assumed that Papadopoulos was probably lying or confused about his memory. But when you think about it, we should probably give Papadopoulos the benefit of the doubt, because we really don't know. We weren't there. We've had other people say that that was not Sessions' response. But how trustworthy are they? We know for a fact that Sam Clovis is the one who actually hired Papadopoulos and Carter Page. And apparently they were referred to him or came to him through this guy who's the head of the GOP in New York, who is the husband of Cynthia Nixon, President Nixon's daughter. I can't remember his name now, but it was this guy who kind of referred those two to Clovis. But Clovis worked under Sessions. Sessions had final approval of anyone that Clovis would have hired to bring into the campaign. So ultimately, Sessions had to give the final approval to bring in Carter Page and Papadopoulos officially into the campaign under Clovis. So let's keep that in mind. Essentially, Carter Page and Papadopoulos had to have the approval of Jeff Sessions. So we don't know. We'll just have to keep watching. Now, as far as the most recent conversation about learning that there has been a grand jury convened to look into the crimes of Andrew McCabe, or at least ways the line to the FBI. A lot of people would like to give Sessions credit for that, but I don't think that we can, really. Sessions has recused himself. Sessions couldn't have had anything to do with that. And I doubt that Rodenstein did. The criminal referral was made by Inspector General Huckleberry Horowitz. He didn't refer it to Sessions or Rodenstein. He didn't refer it to specifically to Mr. Huber. He referred it to the Justice Department. So it's very likely that it was someone else in the Justice Department who made the decision to convene a grand jury. It's very likely. It just went through the system. And of course, based on I.G. Horowitz's report, his referral, and the fact that he's got the evidence red-handed, got McCabe red-handed lying, they probably had no choice. It was the Office of Professional Responsibility that recommended he be fired. Not Sessions, not Rodenstein, not Huber. The Office of Professional Responsibility. So, we'll just keep our eye on this and see how it all unfolds. Les Moonves is out as CEO of CBS. This shouldn't surprise us. There's multiple sexual harassment accusations against him. We know there's been at least one lawsuit. We understand there could be more that have been settled. And now it appears, based on a New York, what's the New York magazine? I think it's New York Magazine. New York Magazine has now listed another handful of women who are making allegations against Moonves. So I guess that's just too much. So we expect he'll be leaving CBS officially probably this week, maybe tomorrow, which will be Monday for you watching the video. Which, you know, the guy's severance package is like in the, I forget how many millions and millions of dollars it is. I mean, he's probably worth, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. So I don't know if it's a big deal. Money-wise, it's not a big deal for Mr. Moonves. I mean, he's not going to be hurting for money or anything. But anyway, it's just another high-ranking left-winger in the media that's being outed as a pervert. It's 99% of these guys are that we're seeing booted out. Charlie Rose and all the rest. They're all liberals. They're all left-wingers. They're all left-wingers who've been bitten in the ass by their very own Me Too movement. So, Bob Goodlatte was on Maria Bartiromo this morning. I don't know how many of you saw that. But he said something that was very interesting. A couple things. First, Bartiromo was asking about, you know, the investigations and that kind of thing. And he said, oh, yeah, they're going to continue all through the fall. Of course, we have to go back and campaign for a couple weeks. But we've been interviewing witnesses all summer long. We did during our summer vacation. We came back. Members came back to Washington, conducted interviews. We have been interviewing people. We got more people lined up. And it's going to continue. There's no, you know, it's the investigation into what happened is going in the 2016 election with the FBI, the DOJ, the intel community. That's going to continue. He said that they will issue subpoenas in the very near future to Loretta Lynch, Sally Yates, Nellie Orr, Glenn Simpson, and others. He says if they do not come willingly, then they'll subpoena them, and they will enforce the subpoenas. But then he started talking about something else, and he made the following statement. He said the following, that, and he was telling, kind of giving a recap to the viewers, because Maria Bartiromo already knows all this. He's giving a recap to the viewers about what he is investigating, specifically why it needs investigating because of what happened. And so he's telling the viewers essentially what happened and the reason he's probing. So he says, a major law firm, an opposition research firm, and the DNC, and the Clinton campaign were working with the FBI to launch an investigation, to get warrants, to listen in on a private citizen, Carter Page. Wow. A major law firm, an opposition research firm, and the DNC and the Clinton campaign working with the FBI to launch investigations, to get warrants, to look into a private citizen, Carter Page. Huh. Now, to me, that really caught my ear. And I'm wondering, what has he learned? What has Goodlatte learned that has not been publicly confirmed? We can all speculate on the fact, and I think we're all pretty clear on the fact that it's highly likely, almost 99% we can be sure, that the Right Reverend Clinton herself and her inner circle were deeply involved in coordinating with the FBI, the intel agencies, the State Department, and the Obama administration to conduct this coup d'etat. But Goodlatte normally doesn't say things unless he's had evidence to prove them. But this is what he said. Now, we know about the major law firm, Perkins and Coy. We know about Confusion GPS and their contacts. We know about to some extent, these people, but the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton campaign working with the FBI? What has Goodlatte seen or heard in testimony that would allow him to make that statement? The DNC, he's now including the DNC and the Clinton campaign working with the FBI. Well, we know, obviously, that Confusion GPS was working with the FBI, the CIA, and everyone else probably. They were right in the middle of everything. But at this point, there's been no direct link between the DNC and the Clinton campaign. The closest you can come is maybe Cody Shearer, who's a real Clinton insider, passing on this second, what they call the second dossier, another version of the PP-Gate story, to Sidney Blumenthal, which was then given to Christopher Steele, and then passed back to the FBI. So what has Goodlatte learned? I mean, was it just a slip up, or is he just making an assumption like we are all making the assumption because it's pretty obvious? Or has he received some information from one of those people? Remember, Devin Nunes sent 3 lists to Goodlatte and said, hey, you should interview these people. The first list was people from Intel, the FBI, the DOJ. Then the second list was people from the State Department. The third list was a lot of people from the Clinton campaign and people around Clinton herself, including Robbie Mook, Cody Shearer, Mark Elias, Jake Sullivan, and Jennifer Palmieri. And remember, it was Jake Sullivan and Jennifer Palmieri who were writing the ad copy for the press briefings on the Trump-Russia issue for the campaign. They were writing the propaganda that was then pushed out to all the people in the campaign and to the media to go out and repeat. So, did Goodlatte, has someone that they interviewed over the last couple of weeks, has someone they interviewed within the Clinton campaign or around the Clinton campaign or the DNC, has one of them people given them some information, or have they received documents or something that has now led them to see a clear, proven piece of evidence that the Clinton campaign and the DNC were actively involved in coordination, cooperation with the FBI? So I'm just curious, is that just something he's making an assumption? It's just he was talking and that came out? Or has he learned or seen something? Because we've never had any really hard evidence of that. We certainly suspect it. Now, let's go back to the timeline just a little bit. I can't spend too much time on this because got a lot to cover, but let's go back to just a little bit of a time frame. On July the 22nd of 2016, WikiLeaks released the emails that showed us that the Clinton campaign, working with the media, was cheating Commie Bernie. Then it was 2 days later, July the 24th, that Robbie Mook went on TV and claimed that Russia hacked the DNC to help Trump. That was July 24th. That's when Mook came out and said that. And that was the first time that anyone had come out and made a statement of collusion between Trump and the Russians hacking the DNC to help Trump and hurt Hillary. That was the first time anyone, whether it was the FBI, the DOJ, the intel community, or anyone else, and it came from the Clinton campaign, her campaign manager, Robbie Mook. He's the one that made that statement 2 days after the WikiLeaks releases. Way too short of a time for anybody to have investigated it and found there to be any evidence of that. It was 2 days later that he came out and made this statement. And then, on July the 25th, of course, the very next day was the start of the DNC convention. So the 22nd is the release of the WikiLeaks. 2 days later, Mook comes out and makes the claim of Trump-Russia collusion, and the very next day is the start of the DNC convention. So the question is, what did the Right Reverend Clinton know, and when did she know it? And she will be facing a grand jury, and they will ask her all these questions. They'll ask people around her, and they will find out. I am sure that we are going to find out, without a doubt, because I still believe that the Right Reverend Clinton, Obama, and John Brennan were the three primary central planners and organizers of the coup. I believe they were the three people at the very top organizing and planning the coup. That's just my opinion at this point. I have not got all the facts to back that up. It's just, to me, it's circumstantial evidence leads me to believe that. But ultimately, the Right Reverend Clinton is going to try to slip off the hook, and when she finds herself in front of a grand jury, she is going to want to say, oh, well, I just was running a campaign. I had all kinds of people working my campaign, and of course, my campaign, working with the DNC, hired a law firm. The law firm hired this opposition research firm, which all campaigns do, and then we had opposition research, and somehow my opposition research ended up securing a FISA warrant. 4 of them. I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm Hillary Clinton. I'm stupid. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Things always happen around me. Lots of crime happens around me, but I don't know anything about it. It's other people around me. I don't know anything. We'll find out. Because I'm sure as they're questioning a lot of these people, as they're receiving more and more documentation, at some point, especially when they get to interviewing Cody Shearer, Sidney Blumenthal, people clearly in the Hillary Clinton inner circle, not the Obama inner circle. Obama hates Blumenthal. Wouldn't even allow him to be in in his administration. It wouldn't even allow him to be on Hillary Clinton's team as Secretary of State. She tried. He said no Blumenthal. Because Blumenthal is the guy that cooked up the Obama in the African garb and suggested he may be Kenyan. That's where that whole birth thing started with Sidney Blumenthal. And Obama knows it. So, the Right Reverend Clinton better hope that all those people that know, particularly Mr. Elias of Perkins Coie, his partner there at Perkins Coie, who also was involved, Confusion GPS, who would have known. Because keep in mind, the Right Reverend Clinton owned the dossier. She paid for it. She paid for it. She was the owner, the custodian. Do you think the Right Reverend Clinton paid over $1 million for this opposition research? And then just went on not caring at all about it? I promise you, she was very, very into the opposition research, the dossier. I guarantee she's been putting dossiers together on people for years, including on her own husband. She had a dossier put together on him back when he was thinking about running for president, because she wanted to see what kind of opposition research that the opposition was going to dig up on him. So she had a dossier put together on him so she could read it. Say, uh-oh, here's what they're going to learn. She has dossiers on a lot of people. You better believe that Hillary Clinton was checking every day to find out what she was getting for her money, what they were learning. You can bet that she had every massive input into moving that dossier through all the various channels it went through. Remember, the dossier found its way to the FBI via Christopher Steele directly giving it to the FBI, the State Department feeding it to the FBI. It was being fed to the FBI, of course, through Broussard. It was being fed to the FBI by Senator Magoo, which came as a direct result of his hooking up with Christopher Steele and all their buddies. It was coming from John Brennan, giving the information to Harry Reid. It was coming from Fusion GPS by leaking it to various media organizations, which were then feeding it back into the FBI. It was coming from many, many different directions. Someone was instigating all that. It's probably the person who was in charge of it, who owned it, who had custody of it, and the person that would have had to have given the approval. You can't just go take someone else's product that they paid for and make it your own and start doing whatever you want with it. Hillary Clinton paid for the dossier. She was the owner of it. She paid for it. It was hers. Anything that was done with that dossier and all that information to move it around and all that kind of stuff almost had to go through her with her permission. It was her property. She paid for it. You see. So as they question all these people, it'll be interesting to see how many of them, because you can bet when they're talking to Blumenthal, when they're talking to Shearer, when they're talking to all these people, Palmieri and Sullivan and Mook, they're definitely going to ask him what Hillary knew and what she... Oh, did Hillary know? Blumenthal, Shearer, did Hillary know that you were going to pass this over to Blumenthal? Did she know that it was going to Steele? Did she know who was hiring Steele? Did she know that Steele was going to be put up by Fusion GPS? Did she ever have any conversations, any contacts? I mean, this is all going to be asked. Hillary better hope that all those people keep their mouths shut and never implicate her, or she will perjure herself in a grand jury testimony. It's going to be very tricky business for the Rotten Reverend Clinton, lying to a grand jury. She's done it before and got off the hook. But she won't get off the hook this time because her folks ain't running the show in D.C. We'll just keep watching that. Trump is going to eliminate 1,600 employees at the EPA. Good. I think that he should completely close down the EPA, created by Richard Nixon. I would totally eliminate the EPA, personally. That at the federal level. Obviously, you have to have, we have to have some sort of oversight, but I think it should be done at the state level. The EPA is basically a militarized organization, way too big, 1,600 employees. Yeah, that's a good start, but wouldn't break my heart if he completely abolished the EPA, along with the CIA, the NSA, and a whole damn group of them. I'd start completely over. North Korea will not be displaying missiles in their yearly parade. This will be the first time ever, really, in the history since the Kims have been in power for a very long time. This is really the reason they had that big yearly parade, is to, roll their missiles through the streets and show that they have all this military prowess. But for the first time ever, it looks like Kim Jong-un has agreed with President Trump that they're not going to be showcasing all their missiles in this particular parade. So that shows that there are efforts being made on behalf of North Korea. I think things are kind of tough there. Kim Jong-un's probably trying to make things happen, but I think he's getting a lot of pushback. But obviously, you can see some effort being made, and that's good progress. We have Michael Cohen now saying that he will file court papers to get his $130,000 back from Saggy Daniels. Well, he paid Saggy $130,000 not to talk about, her, whatever she had going on with Trump. And she took the $130,000 and then went out and talked anyway. So yes, he should go get his $130,000 back from Saggy, if she's got $130,000. I'm thinking she doesn't. I'm thinking that $130,000 is gone, long gone. Trump had a great tweet today. As it turns out, this Sunday was the anniversary of the Rotten Reverend Clinton's deplorable comment. So Trump retweeted the video of the Rotten Reverend Clinton making the deplorables comment, and then next to it he wrote, "Happy anniversary, #proud deplorable." Happy anniversary, proud deplorable. Trump's great. He's the best troll on the planet. That had to steam Hillary big time. She's got to be just twisting in her depends, man. Obama shows up exactly where I told you he would, in a liberal stronghold out in California, to give a speech. Same speech he's going to give over and over again, and we already commented on that. So his speech drew in a very, very friendly place for Obama. His speech only drew 750 people. Trump draws 10,000 at his speeches. Obama could only draw 750 people in the bluest of blue places out in California. He also appeared with an accused sexual abuser, Democrat Gil Cisneros, who's currently facing allegations from a fellow Democrat for sexually violating her in some way. We have young David Hogg, der young Führer, the young Führer. He was in, it appears he was in Canada with Michael Moore at an event. And at that event, he urged Canadians to donate money to U.S. elections. What a fool. Okay, well, so he did make a fool of himself, but he also committed a felony. He committed a felony. Apparently, the young Führer, Mr. Hogg, does not realize that you cannot donate money to U.S. elections as a Canadian citizen. Apparently, he'll find that out very shortly. Well, one of the major bombshells, more leaks coming out about these 20 pages that they want to declassify from the FISA application. We're getting a lot of leaks out of that. I mean, if they don't declassify it soon, everything that's in it will actually be leaked out. This is written by, I believe this was on Gateway Pundit, and their source is someone who's one of the people who've actually read these 20 pages and knows what's there. And according to this person, what we're going to learn when they declassify that, if Trump will declassify that 20 pages of the FISA application, is that the FBI omitted from its application to spy on Carter Page the fact that the Russians had dismissed Carter Page as a potential asset because he was unreliable and thought to be basically an idiot. This would be, of course, exculpatory evidence, and certainly had this been included in the FISA warrant, it would not have been granted. Now, this is a very lengthy story. This is just a little piece of it. You can find the whole thing on Gateway Pundit, and of course you can probably find the original story, which I think may have come from someone at Real Clear Investigations, if I remember correctly, and that would probably be Paul Sperry. So, basically, when Carter Page was working with the FBI to help them bust this Russian gang back in, 2013 or something like that, they had wiretapped a bunch of Russians. And it was in this wiretapping of these Russians that they picked up these Russians on wire talking about Carter Page and whether or not that they thought that they could turn him or use him. And in that conversation, they had made the decision that higher-ups of the Russian intel, had decided after paying attention to Carter Page that he was basically not someone that they should even mess with or deal with. They said he's basically an idiot. I mean, he doesn't even realize that we're trying to, get to him. He's so naive. We can't possibly trust this guy. We can't work with this guy. He's probably completely unreliable anyway. He's basically an idiot. So they have this lengthy, it's not just a short conversation, it's a very lengthy conversation with these Russian intel people talking about, Carter Page and how there's absolutely no way that they can trust him or use him as a source or that they could ever be part of anything that they were trying to do. And this was from this sting operation they were running where Carter Page was helping them. None of this was given to the FISA court, and they knew it all. Oh my goodness. Well, the Rotten Reverend Clinton is going to be appearing at Lesbians Who Tech convention this coming week. The Lesbians Who Tech convention. Well, I think everybody techs, right? We all know that the Rotten Reverend Clinton's a huge techie, right? She would set up a private, unsecure, illegal server in her basement, which is hacked by China, Russia, Iran, God knows who else. She uses BlackBerries and other devices when she's actually told not to in foreign countries, outside of SCIFs and things. She's got information on her private server that never should have gotten there in the first place. We don't even know how she got it there because she's actually got screenshots of satellite images. You're not allowed to have any devices inside of a SCIF or a JWIC or a SEPRNet. You're not allowed to have anything inside these, but somehow she captured images and information from them and they're on her server. She didn't know that the C meant classified. But she's a big-time supporter of the tech stuff, right? Or is she just a big-time supporter of lesbians? Yoko Ono claims that she had a lesbian interaction with the Rotten Reverend Clinton back in the 70s. We know that when she travels with Huma, that they stay in the same hotel room, which is kind of freaky. We had this Miss Texas, who once was a lover of Bill Clinton's, who's gone on record many years ago saying that Bill Clinton, when she would ask about, Hillary and what Hillary thought about it, she said that Bill Clinton told her, he laughed and said, "Don't worry about Hillary, she's basically a lesbian. She doesn't care anyway about, that kind of thing. She's interested in the other thing." So, yeah, I mean, it's very likely that the Right Reverend Clinton is a carpet muncher. It's been alleged by many people in the past. It's very likely, not that I care, but, just so you should know, the Right Reverend Clinton will be appearing at the Lesbians Who Tech. So if you're a lesbian who's into, tech stuff, you may want to go watch the Right Reverend Clinton in her Kim Jong-un or Mao Zedong pantsuit, probably with her leaking colostomy bag. Why do we never see the Right Reverend Clinton wearing a dress or a skirt? Why do we never see the Right Reverend Clinton wearing a dress or a skirt? She only seems to appear in public wearing a Mao Zedong type, Mao Zedong style pantsuit. And she's wearing some pretty freaky headscarves these days. In the middle of the summer, wearing coats and all kinds of crazy things. So the woman's clearly out of her mind. She recently, attending Senator Magoo's funeral, was trying to go up 4 or 5 stairs, had to have someone on each side of her with their arms on her helping her up the step, and someone behind her giving her a little push. So she's got a lot of issues. She's got a lot of issues, my friends. And maybe someone, if you know Yoko Ono, you might ask for her to elaborate on that experience. Let's see. Well, at this point, the tally for the Mueller investigation is now up to $28 million. $28 million. $28 million. Just to get to the bottom of the Trump-Russia collusion, which there is no bottom because it doesn't exist. It's a witch hunt. But all that and what he yielded, the only thing connected whatsoever to Trump-Russia was Papadopoulos lying on a couple occasions about when he got the dates wrong on when he talked to Mifsud. And for that, he got 14 days in jail, and they're going to take back that 9,500 of the 10,000 that they were hoping to plant on him. That he probably still had in the Greek bank account. So they want their 10 grand back, basically. 14 days, $28 million, and the totality of the Russia investigation is that you get Papadopoulos for 14 days. $28 million is what that cost us. And of course, we know there was no Trump-Russia collusion. But there is a coup d'etat, and Uncle Bob the Executioner is a big part of it. In fact, I think he's the insurance policy. And insurance policies, that's a very expensive insurance policy, wouldn't you think? I think Uncle Bob is going to be needing his own criminal defense in the very near future. Well, we have Obama also saying in one of his speeches that Trump will not call out Nazis. That's kind of funny, since Trump just literally deported a Nazi out of New York who lives in Ocasio-Cortez's district. Now, the Obama administration had been advised of this Nazi on multiple occasions, and his Department of Justice, under Get Back Loretta Lynch, refused to remove him. It was Trump who has removed this Nazi and sent him back to Germany to stand trial for his crimes. Not Obama. Why will not Obama call out the Nazis? Why will he not call out the deep state? Why will he not call out all the people under him in his administration that committed such horrible crimes, which will go down in history, that people will read about for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years from now, about what his administration, with him at the head of it, along with his good friend Rotten Reverend Clinton, attempting a coup d'etat against their opponent in the election, 2016. And Obama, to me, looks like he's lost a lot of weight. I don't think he's sleeping well or eating well. I think he's very, very nervous. In fact, he looks like a man who's very worried. He's a man who's on hardcore defense for a reason. He's got a good reason to be on defense. What he's going to need is a good team of defense attorneys at some point, probably. He'll probably have to beg Trump for a pardon for his high crimes. High crimes. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back on Tuesday. See you. Bye.